Is that loud enough? No. Maybe we'll do it again. Yeah, let's try it again. Nice. This is a new day. This is a new day full of sound and light. My gosh, lots of light today. And expectation. This day has been waiting for you. It's been waiting especially for you, to embrace you, to guide you. This day has been waiting with open arms, just for you. This is the day we have been given. Let's not waste it. Come now and let us worship together. Please rise. In body or spirit for our first hymn. It's in the gray hymnal 298. Wake now my senses. 298.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel deep the power of me in all. Deep is the web of
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to savor this moment. This will be the last time I'll be up here for 3 months. For those who don't know, I'll be away on sabbatical. Hopefully going away to India. I'll share more in the sermon about that. I'm really looking forward to this, but I feel like I want to savor this. I always enjoy being up here, but yeah, this feels very special to me. We have a number of announcements this morning, so I'll just get right into it. Today at 12:15 p.m., we have an LGBTQ plus meeting. So I welcome everyone to attend. It's going to be in the boardroom right behind me at 12:15 p.m. after service. If you want to do something positive for the LGBTQ plus community in Youngstown and beyond, please attend this meeting. We'd like to hear some of your ideas. You can join me this coming Wednesday for a conversation on what is equitable. This theme this month is justice and equity. And equity is kind of an interesting term. It's not equality, equity. So how do we decide what is fair, what is reasonable, what is equitable? What principles can guide us in making that decision as a culture? I have very few answers to that, actually. So I'd love to see some of your ideas. It's going to be 7 p.m. this Wednesday, in person here at the church and on Zoom. So you can join virtually if you'd like as well. Saturday, March 2nd at 10 a.m. at the main branch of the library, the AAUW is going to have a speaker on the impact of leadership on culture and community by the Honorable Judge Carla Baldwin. Everyone's invited, and if you have questions about that, you can talk to Sharon Streiner right there with her hand up. And let's see. We have a fundraiser for Sojourn to the Past. It's a spaghetti fundraiser at the First Presbyterian Church down the street from noon to 3 p.m. You can do pickup if you want. So you can eat there, or you can just get your spaghetti and give them some good money for their trips. And that's going to be right downtown, noon to 3 p.m. today. And again, this is my last week until I'm away for 3 months. I'm here until leap year, the day of leap year. So I'm here to February 29th, all through the coming week. So if you want to get together, if you have anything you'd like to meet up, talk about, any questions you have, please. I plan to have my schedule full all the way into the end, so I would actually love to hear from you. And now I'd love to invite Jim Converse for our chalice lighting.
It's an honor to share the pulpit with Reverend Joseph, and we will miss you, but we'll keep you in our thoughts. Our church is known for many good things that we do. Our values let us do many things. Some of the things that started here, others sought us out for support and used our space and our goodwill and our good offerings. Some of the things, just a short list, the Montessori School of the Mahoning Valley started here. Parents and friends of lesbians and gays, and also the Pride Center were here. We continue our active presence in the LGBT community. Trees Please started here. It also supported Plant Ahead Ohio to help take better care of our nature and the trees around us. In Praise of the Arts started here. And one that's dear to my heart, the Northside Farmers Market, grew out of this congregation. There are many others. I just wanted to name a few. Pat Rosenthal and I, with strong support from Karen O'Malia and Elliot Satry, started the Farmers Market in 2003. And we did 4 markets that year in the front yard of the church. We wanted to get an inclusive event to bring people together in the Wick Park area. I think it was Martin Luther King who noted that Sunday morning is the most racially divided time of the week. We also noted that many people come to the 4 churches that were then along Elm Street, and then they left. They were here for a while and then they were gone. Not much went on other times during the weekend. Many were afraid to walk around Wick Park at that time. Many of the congregation had been to farmers markets in other places and thought it might be nice to do in our neighborhood also. we decided to include a community yard sale to draw in more people. Some people wanted a place to sell things they no longer needed, but did not want to go through the hassle of having a home-based garage sale. So we authorized the community yard sale as part of that. We applied for authorization to accept food stamps to be economically inclusive, also known as the SNAP benefit. We also sold equal exchange coffee, a long tradition in this church. We also made fresh brewed coffee to have available. When we realized that the food stamps could not be used for coffee or for the baked goods, we launched a bonus token program in which people got 3 additional tokens when they bought $10 worth of food stamp tokens. This allowed everybody to have access to the coffee, which is one of our major Unitarian rituals, as we all know. The church helped pay for that with the Share the Plate offering, which was nice. We take pride in seeing this as a concrete way to put our belief into being, our effort to be an intensive community to include all people, racially, economically, and otherwise. Predating our current society-wide programs, we now have a variety of other diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. We light this chalice. Okay. Actually, I was just about done, but I'm always happy to have help. Okay. One other thing I just wanted to share with you too, since we have to do the candle too. Back in the early days when the moral majority was gaining ground and pushing all kinds of what I call unrighteous causes, a group of us got together and decided to call ourselves the Sanctimonious Few. So, so a few of us are the leavening in the body politic. We light this candle to celebrate the diversity in our neighborhood and to affirm our commitment to making our neighborhood more inclusive. Thank you.
Now let's greet our neighbor. Say hello, especially if it's someone you don't know. Just introduce your name.
Hello, I'm not Kathleen, for those of you who haven't noticed, but I'm going to read the story that she selected to go with this week's service, and then take the children out. So it's The Rabbit Listened by Corey Duerfeld. And I'll try to share the pictures as well as I can. One day, Taylor decided to build something new, something special. He's building with blocks. Something amazing. It looks like a castle to me. He was so proud. But then, out of nowhere, some birds knocked it down. Things came crashing down. The chicken was the first to notice. Cluck, cluck. What a shame. I'm so sorry this happened. Let's talk about it. Cluck, cluck. But Taylor didn't feel like talking, so the chicken left. Next came the bear. Grrr, roar, roar. How horrible. I bet you feel so angry. Let's shout about it. Grrr, roar, roar. Shouting. So the bear left. The elephant knew just what to do. Trumpada, I can fix this. We just need to remember exactly the way things happened. But Taylor didn't feel like remembering, so the elephant left. One by one they came. The hyena, hee hee, let's laugh about it. The ostrich, gulp, let's hide and pretend nothing happened. The kangaroo, tisk, tisk, what a mess. Let's throw it all away in our pouch. And the snake, shh, let's go knock some down someone else's. But Taylor didn't feel like doing anything with anybody, so eventually they all left until Taylor was alone. In the quiet, Taylor didn't even notice the rabbit, but it moved closer until Taylor could feel its warm body. Together, they sat in silence, and Taylor said, "Please stay with me." The rabbit listened. The rabbit listened as Taylor talked. The rabbit listened as Taylor shouted. The rabbit listened as Taylor remembered and laughed. The rabbit listened to Taylor's plans to hide, to throw everything away, and of course to ruin things for someone else. But then, through it all, the rabbit never left, and when the time was right, the rabbit listened to Taylor's plan to build again. "I can't wait," Taylor said. "It's going to be amazing." And on the back of the book, it says, "Sometimes hugs say more than words." So now if the children could come up. And my trusty helper, Riz. Okay, and we can all read the covenant together now. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now we'll have the processional to lead us out.
For the month of February, all cash and checks will be donated to our home church, UUYO, in order to sustain our mission. And in case you've forgotten, our mission is to build a diverse and transformative spiritual community, help people live lives of wholeness, and promote justice, peace, and religious freedom. Will the greeters please come forward? We will now receive the offering that supports the life of Youngstown, the Mahoning Valley, and the wider world. Thank you.
Please join me for a time of brief silent meditation.
We have two brief readings today. The first comes from philosopher Cornel West. Justice is what love looks like in public. Tenderness is what love looks like in private. The second reading is from the contemporary poet Maggie Smith. It's called Good Bones. Life is short, though I keep this from my children. Life is short, and I've shortened mine in 1,000 delicious, ill-advised ways. 1,000 deliciously ill-advised ways that I keep from my children. The world is at least 50% terrible, and that's a conservative estimate, though I keep this from my children. For every bird, there is a stone thrown at a bird. For every loved child, a child broken, bagged, and sunk into a lake. Life is short, and the world is at least half terrible. And for every kind stranger, there is one who would break you. Though I keep this from my children. I'm trying to sell them the world. Any decent realtor walking through a real shithole chirps about good bones. This place could be beautiful, right? You could make this place beautiful.
I was startled to hear the news, which some of you probably have heard, about Nex Benedict. Heard about this story? The two-spirit, non-binary student in Owasso, Oklahoma, who was beaten in a school bathroom. Authorities at the school didn't call for an ambulance or intervene to get medical attention. Their parents had to come pick them up and take them to the hospital, and by then it was too late. This topic of justice and tenderness is very important to me, and I've thought maybe it's fitting that this is my last sermon before I depart for 3 months on sabbatical to join you again in June. This topic seems to be a touch point for me personally, and it continues to draw me into a daily practice about how to remain both open and committed to the world at the same time. I love this poem, Good Bones. Did you like it? Yeah? Meryl Streep recites a wonderful rendition of it, but I have to say it's not quite as powerful as Sarah Lowndes. I love that line when she is talking about her intention for her children. I am trying to sell them the world. I'm trying to sell them the world. Like a good realtor, a parent is trying to sell their children the world. And when trying to sell the world, you don't spend too long on the parts that are scary and unfortunate. But you don't lie about it either. You say, this place has good bones. It has good bones. It could be beautiful, you know. Because that's also the truth. As much as other things are true, that is also true. Something worth not forgetting. As a person, I have to say I've always been drawn to look at things that make this world really hard to live in. I don't know why. Now it's funny, everyone thinks I'm a very positive person. Everyone thinks I'm a complete optimist. But honestly, this has only happened since coming to this congregation. It's kind of been strange for me, actually. Before this, especially in seminary, I was always the contrarian. I felt it was my role to poke holes in hope. To dispel illusion is what I would say, which is kind of embarrassing to say it now. It's pretty cocky, I think. But I had some truth on my side, that orientation of the world. When I was in Tulsa, which is about 20 minutes away from Owasso, where Next Benedict went to school, I wrote a short piece that our denomination published, and I called it Post-Hope. What we would do after our sense of hope was gone. There's probably still some good stuff in that perspective, but my perspective has changed a lot in the last few years, and I'm sure it'll continue to change in the next few years too. Parish ministry has taught me to be a lot more practical. It's taught me to be a lot more tender, to be sensitive to others, and not let my thoughts about the world rob people of their experience of theirs. Now, I don't know if you noticed this or not. This is just my opinion. I'm curious to see if this lands. I don't spend a lot of time going on about what is wrong with the world anymore. I don't know if you noticed that. I don't spend a lot of time on that. There is a lot that is wrong. What happened to Next Benedict was wrong. There are many other things that are wrong. But I've learned something funny from you. I've learned you already know what's wrong. I learned I don't really need to waste time telling you what's wrong, because you already know what's wrong. I sympathize with Maggie Smith's intention, and it's a strange and wonderful intention. I'm trying to sell you the world. But I wouldn't say it's like being a realtor, per se. because most of you have been in this world longer than I have. You know its pitfalls and wonders, in some ways more deeply and more profoundly than I do. But not to lose sight of possibility seems to matter, not to get stuck on despair, to widen the view as we get narrow, to not lose a sense of what is beautiful, what is worth saving and being saved by. And I'm saying all this as someone who spent most of my life stuck on a view. A pretty dire view, honestly. And there's truth in that view. It's just not the whole thing. And my hope for myself and my hope for all of us is that we don't use other truths to escape what is hard or disconcerting, but the opposite. That we might find a way to engage with what is hard and disconcerting, like the rabbit. To be with those who are hurting, including ourselves, with a spirit that can be nourishing, expanding, healing. And I would say personally that the meeting place between justice and tenderness is healing. But I've struggled with that over the years. I've distrusted what is being offered as healing. I've interrogated it. I've poked holes in it. And maybe that's really important. I'm not sure. I've been one of those people who has had a hard time just accepting that something works. I've always wanted to tear it apart, figure out how it works, how it can be tweaked. When I was working as a chaplain, I was reading Thich Nhat Hanh, and he was talking about how important it was to smile, subtly, mostly inwardly, to ourselves. For some reason, it really pissed me off. I was having a dialogue with him in my head. If you could only see what I see, you wouldn't be smiling. If you could only see what I see, you wouldn't be smiling. Of course, I read his biography and I learned some of the things he experienced. He knew the brutality of the world. There is one thing he said about the smiling practice that hooked me, though, and that I carried around with me in my life, in my work. He said, sometimes we smile because of beauty we find in the world, and sometimes our smile brings the beauty to the world. And another thing he said is that it's important to smile towards suffering, not to belittle suffering, because we are training ourselves to feel that there is more to life than suffering. We are training ourselves to feel there is more to life than suffering. Those lines bothered me in a good way for years. It seemed like he was talking about a foreign country. There is more to life than suffering? Which country was that? I wasn't sure I'd ever been there. But over the years, I found my way into what he was talking about. It's only since coming to Youngstown that now I actually know that he wasn't talking about another country. He wasn't talking about another place. He wasn't talking about another life. He was talking about this country. He was talking about this place. He was talking about this life. The smile is there in the heart of it, not apart from it. The life worth living is this one. You all have taught me this. You want to know something funny? Did you know that you all have sold me the world? I'm not exaggerating. You have literally given me back my life. I still have problems, lots of them, but now I know that's not all there is. My life shines, and so does yours. And that is not a statement of faith, it is a statement of fact. It's real. As real, more real than anything. It's funny, most people think ministers are out there to convert people, but you've converted me. Did you know that? I see now there is a way to be and engage with what is hard and difficult. There is a way to be in this world that is both open and committed. And for me personally, it might be different for you, that missing link for me was tenderness. It took me a while to see that my views about distrusting anything positive or hopeful were actually rooted in a deep tenderness that I wasn't ready to claim. A real sensitivity toward the world. A fear for my loved ones who had identities that made them vulnerable. And I hated that. I hated it. I hated being afraid for people I cared about. I hated being afraid for children like Nex. I hated feeling vulnerable toward cruelty. And so I came up with views that were not vulnerable, not open, not tender. They were hard and rigid, like a castle or a fortress, beautiful from the outside, but no room for life to come in and out. I still have that tendency, and I see it in others too. And funny enough, I'm now tender toward that. I feel the pain of not wanting to be open to a world that has given us ample reason to distrust it. I know I'm not alone in this. I think as a culture, we're learning how to relate to justice, but I feel we too often miss the other piece because it's too hard to allow ourselves to feel it. Tenderness. Sensitivity to another's pain. These questions of tenderness and justice are not just for special, extreme circumstances. They're everyday questions, and they're just as alive in everyday situations. I'll give you an example. I told you I was going to get to India, right? So I applied for an e-visa to go to India. I've never applied for a visa to travel before, so this was new for me. One of the questions on the form was, did anyone in your family, going back generations, ever have any problems with the Indian government or associate with Pakistani nationals? Whew. Well, I knew on my mother's side there was some intermarriage with people from Pakistan, which was not seen as very cool. But I clicked no. My e-visa came back rejected. Someone called me from India saying they have more questions for me before they allow me into the country. We have very soon, very close window. So I'm feeling sort of panicky, but also kind of curious if I'm going to find out something that I didn't know before, you know? And I've found I have a very low tolerance for bureaucracy. So it doesn't really take much for me to feel a level of impatience that feels like I'm about to either have a heart attack and implode or explode in rage. And to not do either of those things takes more discipline than I'd hate to admit. But there's always some kind of tenderness I'm learning beneath that bluster. The truth is, I'm worried. I'm concerned. And I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to go to India. And the funny thing is, we were told to apply for the e-visa 4 days before we leave, just assuming it would be a slam dunk. So I'm so glad we did it earlier. No idea there would be complications. But I thought, wondering to myself, from their perspective, they are concerned with justice. What is just? And if anyone had family involved with anything against the government, even if it's generations in the past, it would be justice to not let their family members into the country. You know what's so funny is I don't even know if that's the reason. I don't even know. But it's teaching me to be open to new thoughts about tenderness and justice. I knew on an intellectual level, but I'm still learning this age-old lesson, how much my life is dependent on other people. So much. People who live in different countries, I'm completely dependent on, completely. And that fact can make me bristle, or it can make me more open. I'm learning it's a choice. And it's made me wonder how much conflict comes from injustice and how much conflict comes from misplaced tenderness. A story, whether it's true or not, that some group is getting in the way of what we want. For all I know, it could just be the weirdness that I have 2 middle names, and they're having trouble processing it. But they're not telling me yet. But I'm learning about myself to keep practicing tenderness, feelings of private affection for another person when it's low stakes. Low stakes. Because I've learned that if I don't practice it when it's low stakes, I'm not giving myself any chance when the situation is overwhelming, emotional, really, really high stakes. It's why I think it's good that we're here. It's good to practice tenderness in coffee hour with those that we don't know, so that that tenderness might be available to us later. We do have an LGBTQ+ team at this church. If you or anyone you know would like support and need it right now, please let me know. And if you don't feel like asking for that, that's okay too. You're welcome to just hang out with us a bit after service. But in closing, I just wanted to say that my opinion is we're not just here at this church to play defense. Do you know what I'm talking about? We're not just here to play defense against egregious things that happen in the world. Youngstown is one of the greatest cities in the world. I'll miss it if I go to India. If not, cha-ching, I'll get to enjoy it a little bit more. For me, this is more than a place with good bones. It is. It's more than just potential. its realized potential. And to me, you are all realizing it right now. Your life is precious and beautiful. It's not just a project waiting for something new to come along. We all could use a little work, myself included. But to my mind, it's already here. You've sold me. Please pray with me. Spirit of love, so grateful for the wonderful music this morning. So grateful for all the children and the play and the light. So grateful for everyone who has made this service possible, and everyone on Zoom and Facebook, and anyone who may come across this later. Please help us to enjoy being alive and together during coffee hour. Please help us to approach our life with a little tenderness, and help us as a community to continue to commit to justice. All this we pray. Amen. Please rise in body or spirit for our closing hymn. 149, lift every voice and sing.
Every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing
extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts, we send off with Reverend Joseph until he brings it back again.
You all have brought it. I've been the benefactor. As you depart, please remember the one great fact. You are loved and never truly alone.